Hi Booktube, it's Amy. I thought we would dip back into the private papers of A Bankrupt Bookseller by Will Y. Darling today. It was just a couple days ago that we last read. And today we are looking at a section titled, I think we had read The Necromancy, so we'll begin with Improving Books. The improving books, and improving is in quotes, the improving books par excellence are the Home University Library of Modern Knowledge, begun by Williams and Norgate and carried on now by Thornton Butterworth. I have several of them, and how grateful the reading public must be to the publishers and the authors. All Hilaire Belloc's are in my stock, and I purr with knowledge of the world when I rise from reading his Warfare in England and his French Revolution. The whole series is so admirably planned. Religion and philosophy, literature, geography, economics, politics, history, a fine range of reading which bears out Carlyle's truth that the true university is a good collection of books. Who wouldn't, I ask my empty and almost echoing shop this afternoon, who wouldn't give a couple of shillings to spend 2 or 3 hours with H.A.L. Fisher or A.F. Pollard or H.N. Ballasford or Harold J. Lasky? These books give every man the opportunity, and I am glad to be the purveyor of that opportunity. I don't belong to the class of booksellers who put neat black and gold labels on their books, giving their names and address, but I would be proud to do it on any of this series. H.A.L. Fisher and Gilbert Murray, great educationalists though they are, have done nothing better than they have done in devising and directing this series. 2 shillings. It isn't bookselling. It is exchanging mere silver for solid gold. I owe the series a lot, and any man who buys and reads these books is bankrupt in the noblest sense, for he can never pay his debt to the producers of them. These are high words, but I write them calmly. They are true. The biggest of my improving books is Castle's edition of H.G. Wells' Outline of History. It is an educational service to our generation. If Alfred Harmsworth is entitled, as I think he is, to the credit of the discovery of the new generation of readers who, taught in the state schools, seek to expand their knowledge in the daily and other mails, Herbert George Wells is entitled to the credit of having taken them one step farther. His outline of history is stimulating. I am told it is not all history, but is not history a fable upon which wise men are agreed? I have both his Outline of History, 1920, and his Short History of the World, 1922. Horrobin's diagrams are most entertaining. He has an openness of line which makes his pictures as fresh and attractive as flowers in the spring. The chapters on the making of the world and making of man tell the evolution story as entertainingly as a fairy tale, and yet as accurately as modern science knows. They are handbooks to the background of history and make me glad for the new generation, which starts where the ardent, debating, rationalist Victorians left off their work. What an attractive story Wells has to tell, now that the dust and conflict which Darwin and Huxley raised are now the all but proven facts of the beginning of things. Short of moral homilies, of which I have few, there are no improving books in my stock to compare with these. A dead lot, I think, my set of Carlyle. I am a little weary of this great man, and I am weary of having some 20 volumes by Chapman and Hall on my shelves. I would sell him willingly. Carlyle's thunder is all in extracts and anthologies nowadays. I doubt if anyone reads him through. Sartor Resartus I have sold, and the French Revolution, but who buys his Life of Schiller or his critical essays? None of my customers has done so up to date anyway. And yet how good he is. I always liked the man and his work, but oh, this set of 20 volumes. How I wish I could get rid of them. All booksellers have bêtes noires, and these appear more among the improving books than in any other class, especially improving books in collected editions. Ought there to be collected editions? Occurs to me as I look at my Carlyle again and my Kipling and a set of Leonard Merrick. They are the product of the optimism of publishers and the vanity of great men, and they are often the bane of booksellers. Few of us like all a man wrote any more than we could like all a man did or thought. The collected edition tells us we ought to love the writer in 20 manifestations of his genius if we have loved him in one. That may be. has to be good enough as a basis for marriage. We love her smile, the way she walks or talks, and we take her altogether for better or worse. But books? Ought we to have to swallow the hook because we like the bait? Are we quite such poor fish? I place the Legacy series, published by the Oxford Press, very high in the list of books which are improving without making the reader pompous. The Legacy of Greece appeals to me the most, and the Legacy of the Middle Ages appeals to me least of all, but they all appeal. They are good sellers. It is almost impossible to avoid paying 8 shillings to know what Greece was and what she has left us a legacy to live by now that she is gone. The men who came late in life to letters buy this series. The men, I had one today, who know how wonderful the life of the past was and how much of it lives in them today. These men who had no education after 12 or 14, these men know, try, and buy the series. I never see and talk to men of that type. My customer this morning was definitely an example. But I remember Gibbon's declaration in his memoirs. Every man, the historian of the Decline and Fall asserts, who rises above the common level has received 2 educations. The first from his teachers, the second, more personal and important, from himself. It is such second educations we booksellers provide, and this desire lies behind the demand, long may it flourish, for improving books. And we will leave it at that because I actually have a pot on the stove. My pasta is cooking, so I cannot read for too long here. It's just out of the corner of my sight, but it's fine because it's on low heat. But we will leave it at that for today.